Yeah, feedback from YouTube.
Awesome. All right, Brian, why don't you take it away?
How's it going, everybody? Really excited to be here, being able to talk to all of you. I mean, obviously, we all wish that we could be on the ice, but here's a great opportunity for us to introduce Mass Hockey and Goalie Nation to Mass Hockey and vice versa. We have a really exciting night tonight. We have a few people that are here with us. Obviously, we have Amy Zappen on the women's side. We also have Victoria Hansen, that's the goaltender for the Boston Pride. And we have Drew Commesso that's going to be going to Boston University next year. So we have a lot of fun. We have all Mass goalies here. A majority of you are Mass goalies as well. So we're going to have an opportunity to be able to talk to some of these people that you can look up to, but also be able to ask any questions that you have along the way. Also here, we have Kevin Kavanaugh here from Mass Hockey and Liz Cohen here from Mass Hockey. They're going to be helping us through all of this. So one of the big things that we wanted to start off with is we wanted to talk a little bit about Goalie Nation. And I had a little video here that we could kind of kick it off with and just get us a little excited.
Early for Collins. Great save by Fisher. Gibson down and out. What a miraculous stop. Huge by Howard. And somehow Miller got a piece of that with his stick. Rebound, Montoya. But a rebound. Pavelski won a stop. Jonathan Quick doing the splits. Corey Schneider with one of his best of the night. Stuff middle. Oh, Thomas. Oh, what a glove save by Pete Kincaid. An awesome save. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
Not gonna lie, I still get goosebumps myself whenever I watch that video, and you start seeing all these American goaltenders that are out there and how far that they have come. And one of the cool things that we have here in Mass is we have an opportunity to really start writing a bigger story. In that video that we just watched, there were a couple goalies from New England, but there was only one there that was actually from Mass. I'm not sure if any of you guys really picked up on who it was, but we had a Mass goalie that was actually listed in there. It was Corey Schneider. Now, the big question always is going to be going forward is who's next? And by doing this talk here, we're trying to introduce all of you guys to USA Hockey, Goalie Nation, and trying to excite you to be the next one that we are featuring in this video. So, Amy, do you have anything that you want to add in?
Yeah, we got to get some girls in that video at some point here. But just to echo what Brian was saying, especially on the girls' side, we have Victoria here, who's playing professional hockey now for the women. And for all you girls out there, just remember that there's going to be growing possibilities for you guys to play at the higher levels, not just in the Olympics, not just in college, but obviously the women's program is working to provide more opportunities for you ladies as well. And yeah, it's just really exciting to be a part of Mass Hockey and try to get the girls growing a little bit on our end.
So I figured that we'd start this off and start getting right into talking to the goalies that we brought here. I mean, obviously, you'd probably love to hear us talk more, but at the same time, these two here have a lot more to say to you than we do. At the end of the day, I'd love to open it up to Drew and to Vicky. And I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit like where we're at right now and having the virus here. And we're all kind of been put in this holding pattern. I wanted to know if there's anything that you guys are doing right now to kind of add to your skill set and something that you guys are doing that you normally wouldn't be doing because of this.
Yeah, I guess. Obviously it's so unprecedented and it's so unexpected. I don't think anyone really saw this coming, and my season and everyone's seasons got cut short. And it's something that, like, we can't control, but we can control how we react to it. And some things I've been doing at my house is a lot of stretching. I have a yoga mat, so I've been doing a lot of workouts up in my mom's room, and just a lot of stretching, a lot of goalie stuff. And, even if you have limited equipment, you can find really creative ways. And I've been following workouts online and looking up stuff on YouTube too that really anyone can do, that you don't need weights. And I think it's important to stay fit and stay active. And whether it's, watching video or doing goalie specific stuff, there's always things that you can get better on.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, it's definitely an unprecedented time. This is kind of the time of year where you're starting to think about, okay, what's my summer training? When am I getting back into the gym, camps, on the ice for goalie specific training? So as Drew said, there are a lot of resources online, whether it's professional goalies maybe you follow on Instagram, or different goalie training programs that are posting different content. Specifically, I have also been trying to really focus on like hip health. I try to do yoga 2 to 3 times a week. I'm lucky enough to have a Peloton, so I do it through that app. But I know there's a lot of things you can find online, and also just a lot of hand-eye coordination. We built a few at my house because we got like 3 goalies here. We built like with a 2x4 and plywood, kind of just different ramps to just work on different hand-eye coordination. You can order some tennis balls off Amazon, and once the weather gets nice, it's something to do outside as well.
Amy, do you have any questions that you want to throw in there?
No, I think it's also important to note that even as coaches, I know Brian, he's focusing a lot on doing, video seminars or video Zoom meetings with some of his goalies. And even for me, like, I know I'm not on the ice, but I'm watching hockey every day. Like, even you guys should just be going on YouTube, and there's a gazillion different NHL highlight clips. So you can go on to Hockey East, you can watch the women's games, and like the more you guys watch hockey, you guys are going to build your hockey IQ, you're going to build your goalie IQ, and you're going to understand the game a lot better just from watching it. And I know for me, to keep my mind going, I'm always watching hockey. I try to dedicate at least 15 minutes a day to just kind of pop some clips on, so I can grow my goalie and hockey IQ as well.
I mean, it's something that you can definitely go onto YouTube, and if you Google put into YouTube condensed game, or a condensed NHL game, you actually can watch pretty much every NHL game from this past season. You can pick and choose each night, and it's an 8-minute clip of all the goals, highlight saves, like all of that type of stuff, even some mundane saves that you'll see during the course of it. And it's something you can play an easy game of, good goal, bad goal. And you can watch some of the goals that are being scored and kind of hit rewind and look back and say, hey, was that a good goal? How could he have looked at it differently? How could he have played it differently? And like Amy just said, you can start learning that goalie IQ through that. It's an easy thing that you can do from home in order to start building that up even more. But I mean, for Vicky and Drew here, I mean, obviously both of you guys grew up here in Mass, and I mean, I've known Vic. I mean, I knew you back when you were in NEH days, way back when. We were talking probably 11 years ago at this point.
Probably about 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. And Drew, I mean, I've known you since you first put on pads. It's one of these things that you grew up in Mass hockey. Do you have any moments that you look back on from growing up here in the state of hockey that you actually feel that, that was like one of those great memories or great moments of being like playing hockey growing up here?
Yeah, I have a lot. Growing up, I played for the Bay State Breakers, which was the closest club team here. And I actually started out as a forward and made it as a forward, and then transitioned to goalie a few years later. But yeah, still some of my best hockey moments and memories are from that team. I'd say a couple of them were going to Quebec and playing in the Quebec tournament as a younger kid, and winning 3 EHF titles was probably one of the highlights of my hockey career, and just especially in Mass hockey as well.
Yeah, thinking growing up, I played Mass Spitfires on the girls' side, and I know there's women's hockey has grown so much and there's 10 times more teams, but when I was younger, there's probably a good core 5 Massachusetts women's club teams in states every year. Was pretty cutthroat. Is something I got so excited about. It was very competitive, and it's 10 times more now. And I had the opportunity to go to nationals a few times. We went out to California, I think twice. So I think just those memories, you look back and like all the different trips you've taken, whether it's tournaments, it's just something amazing to look back on, and then to still be playing in Massachusetts. And Drew will be coming back to BU. It's kind of it's a nice full circle to be in a great state of hockey my whole career.
That's really cool. I mean, were there any people that you looked up to growing up? I mean, Vic, your dad was a goalie coach. Drew, I mean, obviously your dad was one of the coaches on your teams growing up, but did you guys have anyone that really influenced you when you were kind of growing up and playing the game?
Yeah, I think as an early goalie, and especially when I was young, my older cousin Nick Commesso, he wore number 29 and he was a goalie too. And I still remember going to his high school games and, you know, kind of watching him and stuff. And at the time I still wasn't fully adjusted to goaltending. I looked up to him so much, and I still like have his stick hung up on my wall and stuff. And I think he's definitely a great role model, and I still stay in touch with him pretty much daily. And he's a big reason why I still play goalie and why I'm the number 29 as well.
Yeah, for me, I think goaltending is kind of a family profession. Like you said, my dad played at Providence. He's coached me my whole life. He's coached for Stoughton for years as well. And then my older brother got into goaltending before me. And then I followed suit, and same with my sister. So I think it's just been a really nice commonality within our family. I mean, obviously you get a few eye rolls on the ice when you have your dad coaching you and your little sister and brother training beside you, but it's something you'll push each other and you look up to aspects in each other's games. And I think it's been a really nice aspect that has helped mold my game.
I was actually, I was thinking while we were listening to this, I'm originally from California. So I obviously grew up playing out there, never did, you know, prep school, anything like that, but we'd always travel back to Connecticut for the polar bear tournament. And then we'd go to nationals, and we always ended up playing some Massachusetts teams, and they were awesome. Like, we had a hard time keeping up with them because the style of play was a little bit different. And I think it's important to note for all you guys, like, how lucky you are to live in an area that provides so many great opportunities for training, for playing. You know, there's so many different programs. So it's kind of brought light to my eyes. I'm like, wow, this area that we're in, we're like so blessed to have so many opportunities to play. Because growing up in California, we didn't have, it's growing now, but we didn't always have those opportunities that are provided out here. So I think it's something, you know, that everyone should take advantage of. And I think we're all very proud to be a part of it.
Did you have to travel a lot playing out in California in order to find your local teams, or was it something that was really, they had teams in the local areas?
Yeah, so I played, it's called the Cal Select, so it was the only all-girls program down in Southern California, and then there were 3 other programs, the Lady Sharks and then the Lady Ducks, and for the most part, we played all boys. And then we would travel probably 3 or 4 times a year. We'd end up going to the Midwest, probably Minnesota most of the time, and then we'd come out east as well. So we did quite a few traveling, but we did, you know, most of the time play with the boys, which obviously helped our development. But at the time, that's all we had available to play. So yeah, it was fun.
Now, I mean, Vicky and Amy, I mean, obviously you guys played with the boys quite a bit when you were growing up. What do you think of, like, I mean, obviously now there's a lot of like girls club programs. Do you think that girls playing just with girls, or do you think that they should play with the boys and stuff like that? And what are your thoughts on it? Especially on the growing up part.
I think it's, I mean, personally for me, like, I think it's okay to play, you know, with the boys, mix it in co-ed up to a certain age. But then it's, you kind of got to start making the decision, at that time when boys start getting a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. I'd love to see more co-ed at the younger levels, because at that point, I think everyone's in a pretty even playing field, and they can kind of, build on top of each other. The boys are maybe a little bit more aggressive, whereas the girls a little bit more finesse with their style of play. But obviously at some point for the girls, you got to make the jump to the all girls programs, mostly because that's the path that's going to help you get to your end goal. And also just, due to the fact that the boys get a little bit stronger and checking's involved.
Yeah, going off of that, I mean, I played boys hockey up until I think a freshman in high school. But I also played 2 teams. I played on both a boys team and a girls team because that development on the women's side, they are different styles of play. As a goaltender, you're going to read the play a little differently. So once you start getting into that age where kind of the game starts breaking off, as Amy was saying, you really do need that exposure in the women's world. But one thing I have to add on to that is that I've always trained in the summer with both men and women, guys and girls. And I think that's something valuable that you don't necessarily have to train with your goalie, say your private goalie group with just all girls. There's different things you can learn from with any goalie. Same with being in the gym. Just because they're stronger than you doesn't mean that you can't keep up with them or take something from them, either on the ice or off the ice. And I think that as you're getting older becomes very valuable because you do see a lot of different aspects of the game and learn a lot of different things that you wouldn't otherwise.
I mean, when you're starting to talk about like training and different things that you're doing in different groups, one thing that I always I go back and forth with, and I kind of talk to different goalies about, it's, I mean, obviously, Vicky, you were one of the best goalies growing up, and you're still one of the best goalies in the world. I mean, playing women's professional hockey. Drew, you're one of the top goalies in the country at your age, and you're thinking about it. It's like when you're at the top of your game, how do you still push yourself? I mean, when you get on the ice and you have younger goalies around you or ones that aren't quite up to your level, I mean, how do you still find that push in order to get better and to push yourself when you get on the ice?
I think it comes to a point where it's your responsibility. Like I'm someone that especially when it comes to goalie specific training, I'll get on the ice with a 10-year-old. If the ice is there, I'm out there. Obviously you don't want a 10-year-old shooting on you. But if you have a coach there, they're knowledgeable of the game. It really doesn't matter who you're with. It's knowing that what you're capable of. So don't be like, hey, I'm with younger goalies. I can not push myself as much as I know I can. It's just having that knowledge of the game and maybe making a small adjustment when you're taking your reps. Okay, let me add this extra pass to make it slightly more challenging. But I don't think mixed age groups or anything should hinder your training ever, or you shouldn't think that it's something that isn't worth your time, because especially we're learning now, ice is ice. We don't have much of it. So I think just really you have to take responsibility for your own training at some point and not always rely on others to take responsibility of pushing you further.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. I mean, especially now, ice is so limited. And I feel like even more now, you're going to be able to jump on the ice with younger kids too. And I think, like she said, a lot of training on the ice and off the ice is like your own priority. And I think you have to take responsibility for your own development. That's one thing I've learned the last couple of years is like, no matter who you're training with or who you're skating with, there's always ways to get better and always ways to push yourself, whether you're on the ice with guys in the NHL or you're on the ice with 10-year-olds. I think there's always ways to get better. And it doesn't really matter who you're on the ice with.
So we had a good question that was just popped over here to me. And somebody asked Drew, over the last couple of years, if you could kind of run down what you've done over the last couple of years. Somebody was just asking about what's your background and how did you get to be one of the top out there?
Yeah. First off, I went to St. Sebastian's as a prep school in Massachusetts. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I was lucky enough to make the varsity team my freshman year, and I stayed there for my freshman and sophomore year. I think prep's such a great option to play kids from around the state and around New England. It's some of the best hockey, and it was a great opportunity for me, and I loved my years there. And then I was fortunate enough to make the national team development camp, the 40-man camp, you could call it. And it's kind of just a tryout camp to make that team. And then I was lucky enough to end up making the team and move out there to Michigan for 2 years. So I've lived out there for the last 2 years, and it was definitely the best 2 years of my life. We traveled to so many different countries, so many different areas, met some amazing people. So yeah, that's kind of been my path so far, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
Really cool. Now, Vic, did you take a similar path? I mean, once you hit high school, what path did you take at that point?
Yeah, so for high school, similar to Drew, I went to Lawrence Academy, went in as a freshman. That's in the ISL, so prep school, and stayed there through my senior year, which was an awesome opportunity. We had a solid core group of girls that ended up playing Division I hockey. So, and same within the prep school whole league. When I was there was a lot of girls developing and such. So I went there, and then from there I went to BU, obviously. And then after BU, I actually went to Germany and played for a year before joining the Boston Pride. So I've been a little bit all over the place, but
how was playing in Germany?
it was awesome. I think obviously men's hockey over in Europe is a lot more spread out. Whereas the women's game is growing here. It's a few years behind over in Europe as into the amount of teams there are and resources. So I think it was a great experience because the age gaps between the teams is huge. You have girls a few years younger than I coming out right out of college, and then you have girls that are still in their 30s playing. And you also had a lot of North Americans over there, a lot of Europeans that played NCAA hockey. But I think the best part about it was kind of bringing our knowledge of North American hockey because over in Europe, especially at the women's level, they admire what we've done with the game. So it's just a really great way to kind of make an impact on women's hockey outside of Massachusetts, outside of the States.
I love that. Now, Drew, you mentioned the NTDP. I mean, for a layperson, can you explain what exactly the NTDP is?
Yeah. So depending on the age, they take the top 23, I think it is, 17-year-olds in the country, and they move all of them out to Michigan, and we play on a team. Our U17 year, we play in the USHL, so we're playing kids that are a lot older than us. And for a lot of kids around the country, they really haven't played anyone older than 1 or 2 years. And I think I was lucky enough to go to SEBS where I kind of got that early exposure playing kids a lot older. So our U17 year, we'll play in the USHL, and then we'll play international tournaments too. So we play countries like Canada, Sweden, Finland, all the big hockey countries, and we'll do tournaments with them. And that was the first time for me playing against other countries. It was really cool. And then this year, the U18 year, you stay with the same coaches and the same team, so you pretty much move up with all the same guys, which was really nice. And we played a bit of USHL games, not too many, and then a majority we played NCAA D1. So we played teams like Boston University, we played Michigan, Minnesota Duluth, Michigan State. We played all the biggest name colleges, and I think it was really good for all of our development just because we're so young. We're playing kids 8 years older than us. And some of us are still just learning to drive. I think it was really cool to get that exposure, and it was really fun. And then obviously the world tournaments again this year. Our biggest world tournament ended up getting canceled, which was unfortunate, but we got to play in 2 others and play against all the top kids in the world. It was really cool.
Now, when it comes to when we're starting to talk about playing at high levels, I mean, obviously there's a lot of physically gifted people that play, but I mean, what separates, do you think, one goalie from another goalie? I mean, you hear a lot about the mental side of the game and things like that, but I mean, can you kind of explain like what things that you guys kind of do in order to try to push your game on the mental side of it to become a little bit stronger mentally or quicker mentally?
Yeah, I think especially in the NHL too, if you look at all the best goalies in the NHL, there's not too big of a difference, like physicality wise. They're all pretty big and they're all pretty skinny, but what separates the best is it definitely their mentality. And I think that for goaltending, it's so important to have a good mentality. You know, just staying happy and find little things that work for you, like little reset buttons. I know some goalies have little reset buttons after every goal. For me, I don't do really anything after the goals. I kind of just mentally reset. I pride myself on kind of not being like kind of too like picky with all the things I do. I like to keep it just as simple as possible. Just find my mental resets after each goal. Maybe if I have a bad game or a bad weekend like that, I don't let it affect me. And I think having a short-term memory for goalies is really important too, because you can't really let one game or maybe a bad weekend like wreck your whole season.
Yeah, same kind of along that lines, especially once you get to the higher level, everyone more or less has the same training resources. If you're going to NCAA, you have probably similar training programs on and off the ice throughout. So I think mental toughness, or however you want to phrase it, it kind of means something different to everyone. But it is what kind of defines a good goalie from a great goalie. Personally, I think that is something that I like really work towards. I think the latter half of my my senior year at BU, and I think it's something that each goalie needs to figure out what it means to them. I'm a big visualizer. I like to visualize before games, but also, as Drew said, you can't. You need to be able to talk yourself out of. If you let in a bad goal, not to really focus on that, like you're still in the middle of a game. But I think it's something that everyone should take the time, maybe even during this quarantine, to figure out what mental toughness means to them, whether they're a goalie that needs to be super, super focused, or if they're a goalie that needs to be a little more lighthearted in the locker room and kind of stay loose and happy. We're all different. It all means something different to someone else, but I think it is kind of the differentiator at the higher levels.
Absolutely.
Brian, I was thinking too, just real quick, if I can chime in on the visualization piece. I saw someone ask about what do you do for like as a young female goaltender? And I think with females in general in sports and a lot of different things, their confidence level is one of their issues because they're a little bit shyer. They're perfectionists. They always feel like they have to do things right, and they can kind of get down on themselves quickly. And I know for me, visualization, when I was growing up, I think it was like my U16 season, my girls team started doing it. My coach made us do it as a team in the locker room where we'd all close our eyes and like we'd all giggle because we thought it was funny. We didn't really understand the purpose of it. And then getting to college, we did the same thing. And it's incredible how visualizing, especially for females, visualize yourself being successful in whatever situation you're going into. Maybe it's a presentation for school. Maybe it's a confrontation with somebody, or maybe it's playing a game. And if you guys can visualize yourself being successful in those certain situations before you get there by closing your eyes and, you know, seeing yourself successful, for girls, I think that really will go a long way once you get to it, because you're going to feel a lot more prepared for that situation, and you'll feel a lot more confident as well.
I love that. I mean, visualization is a huge key with goaltenders, especially with trying to almost like put yourself, like you were saying, in that situation. That's great. Now, I mean, this was a great question that was asked to us here. Is there any helpful drills for younger goalies that you think that you could do right now when ice isn't an option? Is there anything that you can think of that goalies, that especially younger goalies, that could be doing without ice that can help their games right now?
I mean, for me specifically, I was thinking, I think juggling is huge. Learn how to juggle, challenge yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like I taught myself how to juggle when I was younger. We didn't like I wasn't looking up YouTube or anything, but just the hand-eye coordination piece, getting your feet moving. Maybe you guys have a ladder outside. You guys can even put tape on the ground to outline a ladder. But I just think, you know, even catching for the younger kids, like learning how to catch a ball correctly. I think that's really important things to focus on. But for me, it would be juggling. I get excited to juggle because I love it. It's so much fun.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say like ball work like that too. There's like so many little things you could do. For me, I catch with my left hand, but I'm a righty and I write with my right hand. So I've kind of been trying in the past couple of years. I've learned kind of just doing things with your left hand and kind of get used to it. Like maybe whether it's brushing your teeth with your left hand or, you know, maybe eating with your left hand or using your phone. Just kind of train like your left hand, your left side, just to kind of be more dominant and kind of even it out. Just because like if you're wearing your glove on your left hand, I feel like for me, that's one thing that I could work on is in everyday life too.
Yeah, just add on to that. I think a lot of agility drills are awesome. I think a lot of younger goalies, that lateral movement becomes a little less natural, and that's something that's going to translate right into their skating. You can even have someone toss the ball into your glove hand as you're going through those agility drills. I think that's something that's easy, like Amy said, tape it out, take some chalk, draw a ladder, take a couple shoes to make hurdles. It's kind of just simple things and be resourceful.
Got another really good question here. And these two will probably actually go well together. I mean, they're talking about, one was asking about pregame warmups and the other one was, how do you deal with nerves? I kind of always thought that they, in a lot of ways, I mean, a lot of the nerves when I played always pent up before the game started. And then once the game kind of began and you got a couple of minutes into a game, you kind of felt like you became part of the game. But it was always the question of how do you deal with those nerves prior to the puck being dropped? So I didn't know if you guys would want to talk about dealing with nerves and what you guys do prior to games, maybe in order to lead into the start of the games.
Yeah, I can start on that one. I mean, nerves is something that's never going to go away. It's a good thing. It kind of shows that you still love being there. So you still care, and you still want to see your team succeed. It's not a bad thing. It's natural. In terms of my pre-game warm-up, in terms of nerves, before warm-ups, I mean, at this level, we kind of all do our own stretching, our own pre-game physical warm-ups. I have a series of stretches I go through. I like to do a lot of tennis ball hand-eye coordination drills. But in terms of nerves, I like to, as Amy said, visualize after warm-ups. So I try to do it as close as to puck drop as possible. And like Amy said, I visualize simple saves, succeeding at them, making that picture perfect glove save, that picture perfect steer, that picture perfect smother. And I think those kind of reinforced my idea that this is something I've done a million times before. It's a game that I've done a million times before. I'm had the same teammates in front of me that have been in front of me for the past however many games. So I think that really helps calm my nerves because it reinforces that confidence that this game's no different than any other game. And then you just kind of have to reinforce that in your brain until, if you are someone that needs to see that first shot to kind of get that extra comfort to settle into the game. But personally, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, I think Victoria said it really well. I guess touching on too, it's nerves won't go away, like she said, and especially when you get older, you know, whether you jump from high school to college or college to pro or anything like that. I think another big thing is crowds. and the crowd size is only going to get bigger. And that's one thing I learned the past 2 years of playing at the NTDP is you can't really let big crowds like get you off your game or throw you off your game. But again, you can control how you react to it, and you can control your nerves. I think one thing that helps me a lot too, I guess touch on the pregame routine a bit too, is I like to do the same routine for practice as I do for games. So whether it's a Tuesday practice or whether we're playing in a sold-out rink, I'll do the same off-ice warm-up before the game. I like to stay pretty loose with my teammates and with the guys, just kind of having fun, because it is easy to get caught up in a tense moment or a tense game where you can think about it too much. I think one thing that helps me is just staying pretty loose with the guys, playing soccer. And I think having the same routine for practice and as I do for games helps me just stay prepared. And at the end of the day, I like to think about it as just stopping the puck. And that's the only really thing you have to worry about. And everything else is kind of just outside noise, whether it's like fan stuff or whether it's crowd size or anything like that. At the end of the day, our job is to stop the puck. And it's as simple really as that.
I mean, I think that it's something too that it's also important for everyone to know is everything evolves. That just because today this is what your pregame routine is, or this is how I feel prior to games, doesn't mean that it's going to be the same tomorrow. I mean, I remember talking to you, Drew, 2 years ago. I mean, it was your 17th year out there at the program, and you started talking about how wound up you were getting prior to games, and how you were learning to, you know what, I mean, I remember your quote being, I just need to relax. And I started joking around with the players on the team, and I didn't take it as serious. It was almost like that feeling that you got. And I think that it was important to know that even when you're out there and you're on the playing at a place where you're playing like for Team USA, you were still learning and how to adapt and deal with things yourself. So, I mean, I think it's important to know that that you don't have to have a set path or a set program that you run right now, that it's going to evolve over time, and just to relax and let it come organically and let it slowly come into your game. And we have a couple other really good questions here that popped up. I mean, at what age do you think, I mean, Amy, you can probably take this one. Do you think that it's important for a goalie to commit to specializing as a goalie versus skating out?
Ooh, I mean, I don't want to put like an actual number on it, but I'm thinking probably the, U12, when things starts to get a little bit more serious. I encourage all of my younger goalies to play forward, play D, play all the positions, not for as long as you can, but I think probably the U12 level for me is where I'd say, okay, now we need to get a little bit more serious. I do find that there are quite a few families who commit their kid to goalie, and I know your kid probably wants to play goalie, and they're like, Mom, Dad, I have to play goalie. That's what I want to play. But I definitely do encourage, even if they can get on like, your town team or anything, just so they're playing hockey as well, not just the goaltending position, because they'll be able to learn, they'll be able to work on their skating skills, their puck handling skills, and also just seeing the game from a different angle. So now, when they get back in net and they decide this is what I want to do, now they see the game from both sides, and also just help the parents out. Now you're not committing thousands of dollars for goalie equipment that early on. So I do encourage to play both positions kind of as long as you can.
Love it. I mean, I completely agree. As long as you can play it, you want to. I mean, at the end of the day, it's learning all different aspects of the game, whether you be a defender and I mean, like, obviously, I mean, we're almost all goalies probably on this call. I mean, there's plenty of times where you feel like you've been blamed for something that went wrong. And I mean, it's also good to be able to see on the other side of what it feels like to be a defenseman and go through different situations of dealing with somebody coming at you one-on-one with speed and things like that. So I think that it's important to really learn all the aspects and all the different positions if you can. And some other really good ones here. All right, for Vicky and Drew. Did you guys always have a goalie coach on the ice with you during team practices in youth hockey? And what do you think is the right balance of goalie instruction versus team practices versus games, and what's important for your development?
Yeah, I guess when I was younger, I didn't have a goalie coach. I think I played breakers 6 years, and I didn't have a goalie coach on the ice with me. But I think it allowed me to bond with my teammates too, just because I wasn't doing anything out of the blue. And I think it's important as a young age too to find that balance. And you don't want to become, I guess, too pressured into being a goalie. You want to have fun, and especially when you're young, I think fun is the most important thing. And yeah, I guess I didn't have a goalie coach on the ice with me until probably a couple of years ago. It's important, obviously, when you get older, have goalie coaches on, but I think balancing the team practice too, because you can always take a lot of things from the players' drills, whether the drill's not meant for you. You can still take little things from it. You can still get better at each drill that the team's doing.
Like, can you give me one thing? Let's say you're seeing a drill in which it's a flow drill. It's coming down the left side, your glove side coming down at you, and you're seeing the drill 45 times, and it's just continually coming at you. What can you take out of that drill? I mean, like, give me something that you would like to focus on.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the drill too. I guess on a drill like that, you could always hold your feet. You could scan for people coming back door. There's always little things that you can take from each drill. I remember at the program, there was one drill that me and the other goalie hated. It was pretty much just 3-on-0s, just nonstop. And I remember it's so easy to get mad at drills like that too. It's just over and over again, and you might get scored on a lot. But I think it's really important to just pick little things to get better at. Whether it's beating the puck on your feet, maybe you're a second late and it goes in. But again, you're picking something to get better at, and whether it's beating the puck on your feet or maybe like a drill where it's coming down the board, like Brian said, there's always ways to be better and find little things to do.
Now, if you were to rewind the clock back to when you were 10 years old, is there anything you could tell yourself, to your 10-year-old self, give yourself almost like some advice that you'd want to carry with you at that point? And now that you're older, you kind of see things differently, but if you could rewind back, is there anything you would tell yourself back then?
Yeah, I have a big one. I think I would have told myself. I think, I've always been kind of a headstrong kind of little goalie. So I would tell myself, especially as I see youth hockey developing now and how I know how I was, that like a single game, a single tournament, even a single season at the youth age is not going to make or break where you're going to end up 15 years from now. So I'm 25. That was literally 15 years ago. I remember after one game, I had to have been 11 years old, probably let in 12 goals, thought it was the end of my career. I was like, I'm never going to play. I literally told Mom, I was like, I'm never going to play Division I hockey. I was 11 years old. So I think the pressure on youth hockey and especially goalies at a young age, at having a bad game, it happens to the best of us. But no single game tournament season is going to make or break your career, especially at a young age like that. So,
Drew, do you have anything?
I would also tell myself that. Another thing I guess I would say is to enjoy it, like enjoy the good and the bad. Just because I feel like it was yesterday. I was like 7 years old, still playing for the Breakers, and now I'm off to college, and it really does happen really fast. And sometimes there's going to be bad weeks of hockey, and there'll be good weeks of hockey too. I'd just say to enjoy it, because still some of my best hockey moments and some of my best friends are still from teams that I played on when I was 10 and 11. So I'd definitely say to soak in the moment.
Now, at what point did you guys all really get into off-ice training? I'm dating myself. I'm 40 years old now. When I went through high school, there really wasn't off-ice training. You just got on the ice, put your equipment on, you stop pucks. And we're rewinding back 20 years at this point. But like, you look at today's athletes that are coming into college hockey, they are in way better condition, better shape than they ever were in the past. At what point did you guys start getting into off-ice conditioning in order to become the athletes that you guys are?
I think I started like legitimate off ice training in a gym probably around 6th or 7th grade, which for the time was extremely early, especially for a women's hockey player. Again, I was probably in there once, maybe twice a week, probably most of the off season. But I think starting to develop those muscles and kind of learning how to stretch properly or do different exercises properly was important in my development, because once I got to high school and college, I was able to focus more so on strength and kind of developing technique and like taking care of my body that was already ingrained in my head.
Yeah, I'd say right around the same age, maybe 12 or 13, kind of doing team stuff like team building and team workouts. I think as I got older too, maybe 13, 14, that's when I started doing goalie specific stuff. And I started focusing on my diet too, and nutrition. I think that's really important for all sports, especially hockey too, is staying hydrated and eating good food and stuff like that. I'd say I probably started that stuff around 13 or 14. That being said though, I think that's a good age to start, and you don't want to start lifting heavy weights too early. You don't want to get rushed into it, because as you're young, your body's still developing, and you don't want to get hurt and stuff. So I think definitely, like, I guess that 11 to 12 range is seems like what's best.
Now, here's a funny question. Do you ever get nervous when a slap shot is taken? So I guess we could take it to, are there any players that are out there that come down and shoot on you that you actually like, oh God, here they come? Like, do you ever get that feeling?
I would say that as a goalie, you learn, particularly on your team, maybe who takes slap shots and has a target, aka the corner of the net, or who takes slap shots with their heads down, and then maybe you'll be like, okay, I gotta watch out for this one.
Yeah, I would say in practice, I guess a lot too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, in some drills, like we do some one-timer drills, and I look down, I just skate over, and I'm just praying he doesn't hit me in the head, or just hit me somewhere without padding. Because, but yeah, I guess during the games though, I feel like slap shots I don't really view them any different than a normal shot. I think the play happens so fast. I know Victoria can speak for it too. I guess when a slap shot comes down, you don't really think of anything different other than really kind of stopping the puck at that point.
All right, I'm going to play a quick little video here for you guys, and I just want to get your impression of it.
Hey boys, welcome back to another epi. Jacob, why don't you tell them what we're doing here today?
Today, boys, we're gonna rip you through the funnies and greasing your tendy for warmies.
Alright boys, this is the #1 rule. Jacob, tell them.
Tendies never go first, boys. As soon as the tendy hits the ice, boys, he's fair game. Start warming him up.
Even though he's plowing the driveway, boys, you still want to warm him up. Alright boys, for this one, what you want to do is really warm him up with a couple long bombs.
That's right, boys. You got a teammate warming up from the underboob? Send some surprise pucks from the point, boys.
Even though it's warmies, boys, when he drops his dinner...
All right. We can all kind of chuckle about all that. It's probably not that far off of being realistic in some cases. But I mean, it's something that we can have a good laugh about how some practices are run. Do you guys have any sort of drills that you guys like to do, let's say on a game day or for a warm up, that you guys like doing that actually makes you feel good going into a game? Like, is there a goalie specific drill, or is there like a team drill that you like at the end of this drill, I always feel really like energized, like I'm ready to go and play a game that night?
I guess for me during warm-ups, I know my favorite drill is always the point drill where they line up 3 across. I think it just lets you see the puck and lets you feel good. I know a lot of goalies that I know that's their favorite drill. And I guess there's some in practice too that I like, maybe playing 3-on-3. Anything really just fun where you don't have to think about, the technical point of it. You kind of just think about playing and having fun. So I'd probably say those.
Yeah, pregame skates, I was a big fan of rebound game. I mean, I don't know if it was just because all the girls at BU were not particularly great at it because the goalies usually won. But it's something, again, to get kind of loosen up, have some fun, have a few laughs, but also it kind of gets you as a goalie, either you're controlling your rebounds or you're going to be forced to get out of your element a little bit and kind of play around making those big saves with your teammates. I think it's kind of something to lighten up on a pregame skate, end of a pregame skate.
We have one question here. Do you ever get mad when a goal goes in? I mean, in the moment, do you actually have that emotion come across you?
For me, no, not really. I feel like it's really important to accept that, as much as you want to get a shutout every game, you're not going to. And a lot of times, a lot of things are unpredictable and out of your control. And I think it's really important not to get mad. And it's like I said earlier, it's important to have a short memory, and forget whether you let in a bad goal or it's a good goal, just to forget it and move on. For me, I never really get mad, whether it's in practice or a game. If I let in a goal, I'm not slamming my stick or anything. I kind of just like to keep it mellow and move on right after it happens.
Yeah, kind of going off that, I don't know if mad would be the proper word, but you do always, personally, I am critical of myself. I know what I'm capable of. So with a bad goal, you get that sudden urge to want to be to get almost like a disappointment. But as Drew was saying, that comes back to that mental toughness to kind of brush it off, not to overanalyze the goal. That's not something that needs to be done during the game. But that's where video comes in play afterwards. But I think it's really important to focus on if that sudden urge of disappointment or being upset or mad comes in, to have maybe a reset word or something to kind of push it back off, because it's natural to want to do your best every game, to want to get a shutout, but it's not realistic. Bad goals happen. It's just how you react to it that kind of makes or breaks the game.
I also too, I've talked to my goalies a lot, and I if they're getting down on themselves or they're not playing well, whatever, and I used to do it myself, is I would take the first period. So I wouldn't look at the game as a whole. I'd take the first period, and I went as far as to saying, okay, I'm going to break down this first period for the first 2 minutes. I'm going to focus on the first 2 minutes of the first period. And then once I get past those 2 minutes, I feel successful, and then I move on to the next 2 minutes, or you can do it in 5-minute blocks, whatever. But I think it goes along with the concept of letting a goal in and how you get past that. It's just if you can kind of break down periods, and if you let a goal in, your mindset's now, okay, I got my next 5 minutes. That's in the past. Now I'm focusing on the next 5 minutes. So that's kind of a tactic that, I tell my goalies if they're in a little bit of a slump or struggling to let things go. And I think it's really useful for goalies to give it a try, because then it makes you feel successful in little itty bitty chunks. So you're checking off the boxes as the game goes along.
Kind of add on to what Amy just said. I think that's something I've always done too, is break up the periods. But I think it's also comes into play when, say, you have a slow game, when you're not receiving much action, one of those 10-shot games where you're just about ready to fall asleep. I think it becomes extremely important to break it into smaller chunks as well, so that it's a good tactic to stay focused throughout, instead of looking at a whole period. Okay, let me focus in for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes.
I mean, it's very difficult to keep your focus for 20 minutes straight. I mean, if you think about how long a period is, I mean, it's 20 minutes of running time, but it's really probably 40, 45 minutes long in order to complete a period. For you to have honed in focus for 45 straight minutes, it's just not possible. So being able to break it up and having that mental break of being able to say, all right, I made it my 5 minutes. Now I can relax for a second. And now I got to refocus. It's almost training you that it's okay to do that. And something that I actually find that we do a lot with our goalies is we use concentration grids. Amy, have you ever used those before?
I actually haven't gotten into those. I'd love to hear more about it though.
Okay, so like concentration grids are, I mean, they're kind of cool. They're, it's like you can Google them and they'll actually pop up different ones. And what it is, it's a grid, and you can get ones that are 10 numbers on it, or they could be 50 numbers. And it's just like a grid of all numbers, different numbers in random order all around on this thing. And essentially what you do is you look and you try to find like the lowest number, and you go to the next lowest number, and you just try to mentally like lock in and try to follow your way through the path of finding all the numbers. And the thing that you can do is as they get bigger, they essentially get longer. So you go from having to concentrate for 2 minutes and focus all the way through versus now you can go to one that's a little bigger, that's now 3 minutes. You can start training yourself to be able to sit there and focus on something for like a 5-minute stretch. And it's just something that kind of reinforces that mental side of it a little bit. But I think we're getting close right now to that point where we probably got to start wrapping it up. I think we got time for like one more. And I'll leave this one here for Drew and Vicky. What's your go-to food before a game?
Oh, that's tough because I feel like on the road and stuff, like usually we'll have pasta. I like chicken, broccoli, and ziti. But again, like I pride myself on not being picky really with anything. So I could honestly probably eat anything before the game and play and be fine. But a lot of the time on the road and at the rink, they'll give us chicken parm, pasta. I know some people like things like chicken and rice and steak like that. So I guess it's different for everybody.
Yeah, I think especially being in college or on the road, pretty much before every game you have a pregame meal, even at home, which is more or less dictated by your team. So it's usually some sort of salad, chicken, pasta, rice combination. So I'm a big fan of like pregame breakfasts. Always like a nice omelet or something, and that's kind of like my, all right, I'm getting in game day routine. I make my breakfast because I don't really have as much control over what maybe that lunch, dinner menu item might be. But again, it's all just making sure you're putting in the right fuel into your body.
I thought you were going to say T. Anthony's just blanketly, like that's
Oh,
the.
I mean, T. Anthony's is where can't go wrong. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
I think at this point here, guys, I mean, we have so many other really good questions that are on this list, and I'm really sorry we weren't able to get to all of them. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type into chat. I'm going to put in my email address. So that way there, if anybody has any questions, that they can easily go and shoot me an email. And Amy, if you want to type in yours as well, that we would love to be able to help out any way we can in order to make sure that we get to answer all of these questions. I mean, this has been really awesome seeing the response and having 190, 200 people that were on this call at some point and having 50 to 60 questions that are being asked. I mean, it's outstanding. And I wish I could get to everything through it. But at the same time, I want to say thank you to Drew and Vicky for giving up their night to be able to be here with us and everything. And I want to thank Liz and obviously Kevin for giving us that opportunity to be able to do this. And obviously we want to thank Amy as well. She's a huge resource here in this state, and being able to do all of this stuff with her is going to be a lot of fun this year, being able to grow the game of hockey on both the men and women's side. I mean, I'm really excited about it.
And for those who weren't able to sign on in the beginning, or maybe they missed most of it, or they want to share it with their friends, this is all recorded and uploaded live on YouTube on our channel. And if I will put that in the chat as well.
Awesome. So I really appreciate it, guys. I want to say thank you to everybody, and thank you for being here and participating in it, guys. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Have a good one.
Thanks.